Welcome to the Prospect Warehouse Podcast. This is your host, Tim Kanak. You can find me on X at Fantasy Aceball. And you can watch this on YouTube at the Tim Kanak or on the MLB Data Warehouse streaming platforms or whatever you want to call them. Thank you for watching this one. I'm solo, so give me a little softness here. It's the first solo one I've done in a hot minute. But what we're going to talk about in this podcast is we're going to talk about the 10 biggest risers in my prospect rankings and the 5 biggest fallers. I'm going to give you a few honorable mention names in here as well, but we're going to go in depth on about 15 guys here a little bit. It should be a shorter podcast. And if you've been following along on the X, I have been doing prospect reveals so that you can, for free, see my write-ups. I'm usually releasing like 3 guys per day. So it's kind of a slow drip of the prospects. If you want to see all of the content now, all you have to do is subscribe to MLB Data Warehouse. If you subscribe, John built an app just for my prospect rankings that includes the write-ups, the comps, all the good stuff. So you get all that if you subscribe to MLB Data Warehouse. And in season, you will see the F scores and all those stats updating live, and you'll be able to play with all of John's fun tools. He just made a new one the other day for pitchers that is quite excellent for pitching grades. Really like that one. I don't know if he's actually mentioned too much about it yet. And I even asked him, I was like, where do you find that? Because I'm not sure where to find it on the warehouse. If you've been to the warehouse, you know it can be a bit of a labyrinth. Maybe we should rechange the name to MLB Prospect or MLB Data Labyrinth instead of MLB Data Warehouse. I'm sure John's going to love that. There might be a Minotaur in there somewhere. You might find a Medusa. So don't look in on some corners of that side, or you might turn to stone. But yeah, I feel like it's more like a labyrinth. I think John and I should probably produce some sort of content on how to use the platform, like a training class for you all to watch to actually figure out where to find everything. Might be the best way to do it. But MLB Data Warehouse, make sure you subscribe. Or if you want to also and do both, for the prospect package, $29.99, you would get my prospect rankings. You will get F scores. So you're going to get spreadsheets. It's going to give you the spreadsheet for my prospect rankings. So you'll get all the rankings. You'll get the team rankings. You'll get my FYPD guys. So you'll get the FYPDs. You'll get positional rankings for prospects. So you can get all that stuff if you pay $29.99. Plus, you're going to get a redraft F-score cheat sheet, a 3-year dynasty F-score cheat sheet, and a 5-year dynasty F-score cheat sheet. And those are going to be editable, so they're spreadsheets. So you can actually, if you're like Tim's ranking of this guy sucks, or I like this guy more, you can move guys around and kind of do your own thing with it. And it's heat mapped. It's very easy to use. Really easy to use that thing. And it's funny because we just did the MLB Data Warehouse Draft 30-team league. And everyone was like, oh, I was using this and that and this and that to draft. Literally, all I did was draft straight off my cheat sheets. And I didn't use all the crap and have to deal with like 10 different things that other people were using, projection systems and all this. And the projection system currently has me as like the 4th best team or something like that. And I didn't even look at a single projection the entire time. All I did was use my sheets. So the draft cheat sheets are bien, muy bien. Okay, let's get into it. I guess, do you want to start positive or negative? I'm going to ask the void a question here. I think let's start negative. Let's start with the 5 biggest fallers, and then we'll get to the risers, so we end on a high note. So the 5 biggest fallers in my rankings, and I was not prepared for this, actually. I kind of switched this up on myself on the fly, because you can see how I've got a winner up here. But the 5 biggest fallers. Number 1 biggest faller is Moises Ballesteros. So let's pop up Moises here. Obviously, the Cubbies just traded Casey, so there's a little bit more room in the org here. But Ballesteros kind of profiles as like a DH only / backup catcher. So playing time is not going to be on his side. He was previously 92 in my rankings and dropped 54 spots to 146. A lot of this has to do with the fact that he doesn't really have a home position. And just based on other players of his build, we're looking at guys like Pablo Sandoval, who had like 2 good years and then fell off the face of the earth. Guys like Alejandro Kirk, who's like a better real life player than a fantasy player. So those are the comps that I put on Ballesteros. So I'm just not big on him for fantasy value, but he's my number one biggest faller. Fell 54 spots from 92 to 146. Number 2 is shortstop Arjun Namala. Talked about him in the Blue Jays whatever podcast recently, a podcast, YouTube, whatever you want to call it now, video show. I don't know what you call our show when it's a podcast and it's a video content. Hopefully you're watching so you can see the F scores as I'm pulling these guys up. But number 2 biggest faller is Arjun Namala, falling from 47 to 97. He fell 50 spots in my rankings. Very, very bad second half. I guess he's a big faller for me just because I'm not really thinking the hit tool is going to develop with him and the plate skills are not good. So hence the fall for Arjun Namala. Number 3, this one breaks my heart a little bit. It's starting pitcher Quinn Matthews. So Quinn Matthews in my rankings falling from number 62 to 98. He fell 36 spots, so not as much as Ballesteros and Namala, who are by far the biggest fallers. But Quinn Matthews falling 36 spots here, still in the top 100, just barely. Obviously, if you're looking at the F scores, the big question is the command. And this is why I didn't drop him a lot more. Like a lot of people really just like took him off their lists, but he had really good command at every single level until AAA. So I don't know if this is all ABS. His stuff has a ton of movement on it. Like if you watch him pitch, and you can see the movement profiles here, but like his stuff has a lot of movement. His fastball 9.4 vert and 4 horizontal. Like all of his pitches, there's a ton of movement on. And when you have a lot of movement like that, like sometimes it's hard to spot things up in the zone for ABS. So I mean, ABS is coming to the majors, but it's going to not be as prevalent, I suppose. And the strike zone in the minors is kind of small. So, like, I feel like Quinn Matthews, once he gets to the majors, is going to establish himself. And maybe he's not a superstar, but I think he can be a number 3 starter or something like that. So I'm still kind of high on Quinn Matthews, but definitely dropped in the rankings. Number 4, going back to the hitter side here, and he's the only pitcher in the top 5 here. Number 4 is George Lombard Jr. George Lombard Jr. drops from 45 to 78. He fell 33 spots in my rankings. And it's not that I think he's like not going to be a good major leaguer and yada, yada, but I think he's just going to be a better real life player than a fantasy player. You see, there's not a lot of power here. Like, yeah, he's young and he's getting bigger and he can build into more power. But I feel like best case scenario, he's like a 15 to 20 home run guy with like 15 steals. I don't know. He just kind of seems kind of boring for a fantasy guy. So like, I'm just not big on him for fantasy. I think he's going to be much better as a real life player. Maybe he's like Geraldo Perdomo. Would be a good comp for him, where it's like Perdomo was like really, really good in points leagues, but not like insane for real life. So maybe that's a good comp for him is Perdomo. Number 5 is Ike Irish. So yeah, I know Irish just debuted and he's like small sample size here, but he was not great in his small sample size. I thought he was gonna be much better, but he dropped from 88 to 116 in my ranking, so he fell 28 spots. And you can see he was just not very good in his small sample size of pretty bad 81 plate appearances. But, you know, like it's only 81 plate appearances. He was really good in college. So didn't ding him too much. But as one of my like newer prospects to the rankings from the 2025 draft, he did get dinged the most. Honorable mention for fallers. I've got Emmanuel Rodriguez fell 27 spots and Trey Gibson fell 27 spots. So those are 2 other fallers, honorable mentions. Let's get to the positive side here. Let's get positivity. Number 1, if you're watching, you already know who it is. The number 1 biggest riser, and a lot of people know I love this guy, is Dax Kilby with the Yankees. If you watch the Dynasty Dingers pod where we did an FYPD mock draft, I recommend that episode with Ross Jensen. Doc, of course, was there, and Matty Moe. The 4 of us did a FYPD draft. It's the 2nd year in a row we did it. And I talked about Dax Kilby. I drafted Dax Kilby. I'm in a league with all those guys too, 30-teamer, and drafted Dax Kilby in that in FYPD, which was a killer value in my opinion. But Dax Kilby, he was unranked, and now he's 43. So I'm just moving him based on being unranked 108 spots because I didn't have an actual ranking spot for him before. But yeah, Dax Kilby had a crazy debut. 87% contact rate, 90.5 zone contact. If you're watching, you can see this stuff. Um, we have a 94% stolen base success rate, 16 steals in 18 games. And then the EVs, 92.5 average EV, 104.5 90th, 108.9 for a high school guy. Those are sick. I know the batted ball profile isn't ideal, 53% on the ground, 28% line drive, but the combination between the contact rates, the EVs, and the stolen base aggressiveness and efficiency, 52% attempt rate. All these things are just phenomenal. Dax Kilby looks like a freaking stud. So he's the number one biggest riser. Number two, we've got a pitcher. This is going to be Connolly Early, who's in the majors now. I've been trading for him in like every league I can. I traded for him in 2 or 3 different leagues this offseason. There's another one I've been trying to trade for him. Dabman, shout out to Dabman. I've been trying to trade Dabman for Connolly Early. So Connolly Early rose 93 spots in my rankings. I had him at 151 last time. He was the first man out. Now I got him at 58. I thought he was kind of going to be like a blah, like number 3, number 4 type. But the thing is that we didn't have pitch level data for him in my last rankings update. Now we do have pitch level data. And I actually really love what we're seeing. I thought he's just going to have like 50s across the board and be a kitchen sink guy. But the fastball, changeup, curve, sweeper. The sweeper, we only have 6 pitches of in the minors, but in the majors, it was looking really good. We have a lot of really good pitches for Connolly Early. So he's not just a kitchen sink guy. He actually has some really good pitches here. 264 JA ERA. You see the F scores, love him from the minors. The majors F scores, love him too. He was really good for the Red Sox down the stretch. I'm a big believer in Connolly Early. I'm on Team Connolly Early. So number 2 biggest riser, rose 93 spots in my ranking from 151 to 58. Number 3, we're not going to have an F score because he was in the DSL only, but it is Josuar Gonzalez. Josuar Gonzalez jumped 116 to 40. So he rose 76 spots in my rankings. And I'll tell you, a few big things that have affected my ranking for him because he didn't play in complex and like the DSL was over after my last update. But a few big things that affected my ranking is that he went really, really high in the tool shed mock draft that we did earlier this year. And I was like, man, like people are really bumping him up. Like, I agree. I think he could be the Jesus Made of next year or the Edward Florentino of next year. So I agree with that, but people are getting the jump on me. Like I thought I had him high at 116. So I'm like, okay, if I really want him, I'm gonna have to really jump him. So I jumped him to 40. So that, and then like also I watched a lot more video of him this last ranking, and I just love the dude. Like he's fire. So Josuar Gonzalez jumping, and he dropped those middle names that John always talks about. He dropped the DeJesus. Like I love some DeJesus, but he dropped it. Josuar Gonzalez just makes him way easier to talk about. So yeah, number 3, biggest riser here. So Kilby, Early, Josuar Gonzalez. Number 4 is another guy that I drafted in that 30-team league that I'm talking about with a bunch of industry people, with Ross and Doc and Matt and Owen Hurd is in that league, and Martin and Louis. We got a bunch of industry people in this league. Daniel. So there's a bunch of good industry people in that league. But number 4 is Nate George. I popped Nate George even before Dax Kilby in that league just because I thought he was going to go earlier. But Nate George is my next biggest riser. He's my number 42 prospect. Jumped up from 113, rose 71 spots. The reason he went up so far in my rankings is that we did not have F scores on all these guys during my last rankings update. Now we have F scores thanks to John coding it in, so I don't have to do every single freaking player individually like I last year. I used to have to manually enter all this data into a spreadsheet, and then it would kick me the F scores back out, and then I would have to put that on for every single player. It took me like 15 minutes for every single person that I wanted to do F scores with. It was a pain in the butt. Now it's just a press of a button for John. But the F scores are phenomenal. 105 power, 105 hit, 103 discipline, 152 speed. And the big thing that got me is this power. Because if you just look at the home run totals, just like there's like no power here. But we have a 128 extra base hit plus. So he's getting to extra base hit power, not the homer power, but the extra base hit power. So he's getting to that. And then the other thing that we have here with this 105 power that wasn't taken into consideration is that we're looking at angles. So we're getting batted ball angles. How does that result in power, future power? Are we getting pull, or any pull fly balls on this guy. And so now that we have some of this data, it's giving me a 105 power, and we're taking it against the level. So we're taking these power numbers against the other players at the levels in the leagues that he's at, and it's above average. I thought it was going to be well below average, which is why I had him ranked much lower before, because I was like, okay, his hitting speed, whatever. But you actually could run into average-ish power for Nate George. He might be like a 1550 guy or like 1850 guy. It could be like a Jacoby Ellsbury like he's a righty, but like from like a profile standpoint, hopefully he doesn't get hurt like every other year like Ellsbury. But I'm a big Nate George guy. Number 5, we're not going to have this guy either. No F scores because there's not enough of anything. Steele Hall with the Reds jumped up from not being ranked to 81. So Steele Hall rose 71 spots technically in my thing. But I've talked about it before. What's really got me on the Steele Hall bandwagon here is good old Jeff Ponce. So like, he's got, everyone knew about the speed, big time speed. But Jeff Ponce is a big Steele Hall guy. I watched more video of Steele Hall. I watched some more stuff of like that you have of him because there's not a lot out there. Just breakdowns and stuff like that. And I'm buying Steele Hall, so I've got him at 81. So big riser here, 69 spots for Steele Hall. Number 6, this should be a surprise for nobody, but it's Joshua Baez. Joshua Baez jumped up from 85 in my rankings to 33. He had a really strong finish to the season, kind of cementing his really good season that he had. Power speed is off the charts here for Baez. So 122 power, 102 hit, 97 discipline, 131 speed. Yeah, he might have some strikeout problems a little bit later. There might be a little bit of a Joe Adell in this profile. There's kind of that huge bounce back like Adell had. But the power speed here is unreal for Joshua Baez. The dude is a superior athlete. He's doing it at AA. He's got some proximity on side, going to be in AAA. Cardinals are clearing everybody out of the system right now for these prospects to have nice open spots. So Joshua Baez, number 6, big time riser for me. Number 7 is an interesting one. Luis Perales, because I'm kind of feel like a little down on him now because the Red Sox traded him. Like, wait, the Red Sox are really good at developing pitchers, and they traded Perales for a guy I don't really like. So I'm not really understanding. Maybe they don't believe he's healthy. It's kind of scary, that trade. But I did this write-up in these rankings before the Red Sox trade, now that he's on the Nationals, because the stuff is unreal. 123 F stuff. Like, there's 100. I really love the stuff for Perales. And he was showing some stuff in the fall league, and it's like if he's healthy, he's gonna be really good. But that trade really did kind of scare me. Like you did like 178 ERA. So I jumped him 51 spots from 122 to 71 now that he's healthy. But yeah, the trade does scare me. So I would tell you that even though he's at 71 of my rankings, because of that trade, I might honestly drop him some because sometimes the teams tell us more than whatever else. So I would probably drop him a little bit in my rankings now just because of that trade with no other information. So it is a little scary. But yeah, he's number 7. Number 8 is Ethan Conrad. Ethan Conrad came over. He was drafted by the Cubs, first rounder. Phenomenal player out of Wake Forest. Just unreal stats in the college. We don't have any minor league stats on Ethan Conrad yet, but I really dug into him more this time around. And I love what I saw. And I hate the Cubs as a Cardinals fan. So despite me wearing blue today, I do not like the Cubs. I hate the Cubs. And I had to rank him 100. I just really like Ethan Conrad. So just a really good player. Unfortunately, he's on my least favorite team, but 50 spot riser. Number 9 is Caden Scarborough. So Scarborough I had like on the periphery last time around. I think I had him at like 160 or something like that last time around. It's somewhere around that range. But I jumped him all the way to 100. I feel like he carried the end of his year forward very strong. He showed us that the command gains that he made were real all the way through the year. So 115 stuff, 124 control, 108 FERA, 224 JAERA. I love Scarborough. I do want to see it at higher levels, which is why he's not higher, but he's number 101 now. So jumped him 49 spots in the ranking based on unranked. It's probably more like 59 spots, honestly, because I can't remember where I had him last time. It was like but he was on the periphery. He was on like this little group of guys that I leave as honorable mentions. So he's one of those guys. Number 10 is Mitch Bratt. So Mitch Bratt, I bumped from 152 to 104. So he jumped 48 spots in the rankings. Bratt finished the year very strong. I really dug into him this offseason and watched a bunch of video. I love what I see. I know like it's hilarious because he was like 18 in the World Baseball Classic or something last time. He'll probably be much better this time around. So I'm a big Mitch Bratt guy. Very good pitcher. So I'm a Bratt guy. So we got Bratt at number 10, jumping 48 spots. I'll give you some honorable mentions, risers here. Ralphie Velasquez is number 11, rose 39 spots in my rankings from 83 to 44. AJ Ewing with the Mets is number 12, also rose 39 spots from 108 to 69. Jefferson Caro was 13. He was hurt. So went from unranked to 111. That's 39 spots. Number 14, Gage Wood, 131 to 93. He rose 38 spots because we actually saw some of these new pitches that he's developed. They look good. And 15, Ryan Sloan jumped 36 spots. I love Ryan Sloan from 90 to 54. So those are the biggest risers in the prospect rankings for me this time out. Short little pod. Hopefully it was very helpful. Please subscribe to MLB Data Warehouse. Then that way you can get all of the prospect rankings now. You will not have to wait. You can get all my write-ups now. You don't have to wait for the slow drip. You don't have to sort through my Twitter, which is going to be a PIA. If that's how you're going to try to do your prospect rankings, just sorting through my Twitter, where you're like every day going through a spreadsheet and making your own notes and putting my thing in. And you're crazy if you're doing that. But if you want a nice organized app, really easy to get, just go on MLB Data Warehouse and subscribe. It's not that expensive. It's cheaper than a freaking McDonald's burger nowadays. And then for $29.99, talk about this, cheaper than two McDonald's. If you go to McDonald's with your wife or something, or go to Taco Bell with your wife, that's how expensive these things are now. It's $29.99 only for my prospect package. And it's going to help you draft really, really well. It's really easy to use. It's customizable. It's heat mapped. It's got the F scores on it. You got every single player, every single prospect, all on there for redraft 3 or 5 year dynasty rankings, including FYPD rankings, including my prospect rankings, including org rankings. Awesome stuff on there for only $29.99. Like, just seriously, just don't go out for coffee for a few days, and you can get this awesome thing that's going to kill your drafts. You're gonna be awesome if you do it. So $29.99 Tim Connect prospect package. Go on MLB Data Warehouse and buy it there. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will be doing a top pitcher redraft rankings with John and Doc later this week. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one. Later.